Public art is designed to draw attention and start conversations, but sometimes the artists behind these projects may go a little too far with that idea. Here are 10 of the most ridiculous, wasteful, and in some cases borderline offensive public art installations in the world. Starting off the list at number 10, we have the Okeanos sculpture in San Diego. This sculpture was created by British modernist sculptor William Tucker, and it's been the center of both controversy and amusement in San Diego ever since it was first installed back in 1987. It was commissioned for $200,000. It's a 13-foot tall, 3,500-pound bronze sculpture, originally placed in front of the Scripps Green Hospital. The abstract piece was intended to resemble an ocean wave, naming it after the Greek god of rivers and oceans. While art critics, many of them praised the sculpture as being original and unique, the public's reaction was far less favorable. Many locals mockingly referred to it as the Scripps Turd, due to its resemblance to a large bowel movement. The sculpture's unpopularity led to its relocation in the year 2001. Philanthropist Edith Scripps had it moved to the Scripps Research Institute campus at an additional cost of $40,000. Despite the move, the reputation of the sculpture has persisted, and decades after it was made, it continues to be the subject of debate and humor among San Diego residents. Next up, we have another highly controversial sculpture. This one's called the Sunbather in Queens, New York. It's 8.5 feet tall and was installed at the intersection of Jackson Avenue and 43rd Avenue in Long Island City, Queens. Originally installed back in November of 2016, it was created by artist Ohad Moromi. It's a 4,000-pound bronze sculpture and has been center of controversy ever since it was originally installed. The project cost over $500,000 in city taxpayer dollars and was part of a government project that funneled tax money to public art installations in hopes of brightening up the city. Many residents, though, criticized this one for being just a little bit too bright. Its bright pink color and large size have been described as an eyesore. Also, its hefty price tag, many have said, was completely unnecessary. Some people have argued that the funds would have been better spent on other community needs such as education, transit, public health, safety, homeless outreach, small business, drug treatment, infrastructure, or really anything besides this ugly sculpture. To make matters worse, many Queens residents were upset that the sculpture wasn't even created by a Queens local, but rather a Brooklyn-based artist. This sculpture, officially titled Santa Claus, is an extremely controversial piece of artwork created by American artist Paul McCarthy in 2001. Standing prominently in one of Rotterdam's busiest squares, the 20-foot bronze statue has been highly critiqued for its provocative design. Over the years, its design has earned it a lengthy list of colorful nicknames. The sculpture depicts Santa Claus holding an object that officially represents a Christmas tree but bears a striking resemblance to an adult toy, leading to many of its edgy nicknames. McCarthy intended the piece as a commentary on Western consumerism and the excesses of the holiday season. Initially commissioned for placement outside of one of Rotterdam's concert halls, it was repeatedly relocated due to public outcry. The sculpture's journeys included stints in several other places across the city, before eventually finding a permanent home where it is now. While some people view it as inappropriate and offensive, other people appreciate the absurdist critique of consumer culture. The sculpture's notoriety has inspired performance art and a line of small chocolate replicas, as well as another version of the sculpture that was done in bright red. Next up, we have the Quays art sculpture in Vilnius, Lithuania. This is another one that's sparked a lot of debate. It's colloquially known as the pipe, and has intense supporters and haters ever since it was built. The €1 million piece of artwork consists of a large rusty pipe emerging from the riverbank, bending above the pavement before disappearing into a sidewalk. The combination of the minimalist design and the hefty price tag have led many to question if it was really an appropriate expense. Many residents of Vilnius have called for its removal or relocation. The Quays Arch has become such a talking point that it was included in the Vilnius Talking Statues project in 2020, which was a project to give more context to sculptures and public art, allowing visitors to quote-unquote hear the statue's perspective through a smartphone app. This initiative was aimed at bringing the art closer to the people and hoping to provide a little more understanding for what it was and why it was built. On to the next one, we have the Wirwasser fountain in Vienna, Austria, another one that's been highly controversial due to its unusual design and high cost. Created by an artist group and was commissioned to celebrate 150 years of Vienna's modern water system. which provides fresh water from the Alps. The project cost around $2 million, a figure that has drawn major public criticism. The fountain features 33 humanoid sculptures arranged in a circle. These features are meant to symbolize the communal responsibility for water, but many find them ugly and unappealing. Some people have even gone as far as to call it the ugliest fountain they've ever seen. Despite the backlash, the local government defends the foundation's extraordinary and quote-unquote reality-inspired design, saying that it conveys a sense of togetherness. They also claim credit for reducing the initial price from 2.1 million euros to 1.8 million euros. The Freedom Party in Vienna has criticized the fountain as a luxury fountain with ugly features that damages Vienna's image and was a waste of money. The Calatrava obelisk, located in Plaza de Castilla, Madrid, is a 300-foot tall monument commissioned to mark the 300th anniversary of Caja Madrid's foundation. The sculpture, made of bronze, gold, and concrete, was initially designed to be 400 feet tall, but was reduced due to the complex networks of tunnels underneath the plaza. The obelisk features cylindrical metal shafts resting on 3 legs, each weighing 50 tons. It was designed to represent a blend of masculinity in its vertical form and femininity in its movement. However, the project's been mired in controversy. The monument's large initial expense and high maintenance costs exceeding 150,000 euros per year have raised eyebrows. It was intended to be a kinetic sculpture, but the high operating costs led to it being kept static. Like with all these projects that diverted public funds, many have pointed out that the area had far more pressing needed expenditures. Despite these controversies, the neo-futuristic obelisk remains a prominent feature of the Madrid skyline. The traveling light sculpture in Calgary is another one that's been controversial. It was installed in 2013. It's approximately a 60-foot tall blue steel hoop featuring streetlights on top. It's located near the 96th Avenue Bridge near Deerfoot Trail. The artwork was created by a Berlin-based collective and cost the city $500,000, which sparked significant public outcry. Many Calgarians, including the mayor, criticized the piece of art for its simplistic design and high price tag. The mayor famously referred to the work of art as awful and terrible. The artist behind the traveling light sculpture expressed surprise at the intensity of the negative reaction. The controversy surrounding the traveling light sculpture has had lasting impacts on Calgary's public art program. It became a hot-button issue for taxpayer frustration and led to increased scrutiny of subsequent public art installations. The sculpture's notoriety even prompted customs officials to mention it when artists entered the country for other projects. Despite the criticism, the artist maintained that public art is subjective and should create dialogue. The sculpture continues to be prominent and divisive in Calgary's public art landscape. Next up, we have the Gymnast III, which is eerily reminiscent of one of the previous ones on this list, the Scripps Turd, and happens to be by the same sculptor, William Tucker. It stands over 7 feet tall and is in the Papa John Sculpture Park in Des Moines, Iowa. It was created between 1984 and 1985 and is part of Tucker's Gymnast series, which aims to capture the fundamental strength of an athlete in motion. The sculpture is highly simplified, abstracting the human form to its essence. Despite lacking detailed features like a head or arms or feet or virtually anything that would make you know that it was a human, the piece allegedly effectively conveys tension and effort of a gymnast movement. Like some of Tucker's other works, the Gymnast has sparked controversy due to its abstract nature. Some viewers have described it as resembling other forms. But as with all art, interpretation is subjective and other people's interpretation may not reflect the artist's original intention. The inspiration for this sculpture came from the Gymnast in the 1984 Olympic Games. The piece is part of a larger collection of outdoor sculptures in the Papa John Sculpture Park, which opened in 2009. The park has become a culturally significant place in Des Moines, Iowa, and offers public access to contemporary art. At number 2, we have something a little bit different, and that is basically every sculpture ever by Nancy Rubins. She's a well-known American sculptor and installation artist known for very controversial and large-scale works. Her sculptures often feature assemblages of discarded objects. She gained notoriety back in the early 1980s with her first public installation, Big Billboard, which was voted the ugliest sculpture in Chicago. The 43-foot-high structure was composed of various discarded appliances and would set the tone for her future works. Her artistic process involves repurposing a wide range of objects, including airplane parts, televisions, electrical appliances, mattresses, and even boats. In the year 2000, she began her monochrome series, incorporating various types of boats held together with stainless steel wire. One such piece features over 60 canoes and has become a much discussed local landmark in Buffalo, New York. The Marine Venus sculpture has been a source of intrigue and controversy since its installation in 1969. Created by Robert Hedrick, this white marble sculpture stands prominently at the front of Dalhousie University Art School, drawing attention and criticism alike. The sculpture's abstract form has led to various interpretations, often eliciting giggles from students due to its suggestive shape. While some people see it resembling a traumatic penile injury, others have come up with their own less horrifying interpretations. Adding to the controversy is the fact that the sculpture remains technically incomplete. It was originally intended to be mounted in a reflecting pool, but budget constraints prevented the realization of this vision. The absence of this intended aquatic setting has led some to argue that the name Marine isn't really appropriate. Despite the controversy, Marine Venus serves a practical purpose on campus. It's often used in scavenger hunts, encouraging new students to explore the campus, specifically the art gallery. The sculpture continues to be a talking point 50 years later, showing the power of public art to provoke discussion, both good and bad.